I'm lying on my living room floor, blood pooling under me, staining the hardwood. A man dressed as a police officer just shot me over a $4,200 HOA fine. You heard that right, a bullet for a tree that's supposedly too tall. I thought HOA presidents sent nasty letters, not hired thugs with guns. My shoulder burns like it's been set on fire, and my vision's blurring at the edges. Suddenly, 3 strangers burst into my house, guns drawn, shouting orders. I'm fading fast, no clue who they are or how this nightmare even started. Where are you reading this from? Let me know in the comments. Retirement was supposed to be quiet. I pictured myself on my porch in a small mountain town outside Boise, Idaho, sipping coffee as the sunrise lit up the Sawtooth Range. I'd spent 38 years as an accountant, crunching numbers until my eyes ached, saving every dime for this moment. Finally, I bought a cozy cedar cabin in what I thought was a peaceful gated community. The real draw? A massive 150-year-old pine tree in the yard, older than Idaho itself, reminding me of the one my grandpa used to climb back in Nebraska. It felt like home. But peace doesn't last when someone like Abigail Mercer decides she wants what's yours. It was a crisp Tuesday morning in September 2024 when it all began. I was at my kitchen table, sipping black coffee old school, and flipping through a real newspaper. Then came the pounding on my door. Not a neighborly knock, but the kind that says you're in deep trouble. I opened it to find Abigail Mercer, HOA president, my personal nightmare in a tailored blazer. Late 40s, red hair styled like it cost more than my car, and eyes so cold they could freeze the sun. "Mr. Carter," she said, handing me a document like it was a death sentence. "You have 72 hours to pay this fine, or we'll take legal action." I was stunned. A $4,200 fine for my pine tree violating height restrictions. A tree older than her entire family tree, fined in a community that prided itself on rustic charm. My cabin, built in the 1960s, was one of the originals in this forested retreat. I tried reasoning with her, explaining the tree's history, how it had cost a fortune to remove, how insane it was to fine me for nature. She just smiled a smile that made me want to bolt every door. "Rules are rules, Mr. Carter," she said, voice dripping with fake sweetness. "And in this community, I am the rules." Then she hit me with something chilling. "At your age, stress can be dangerous. I'd hate for your son, Michael, in Portland, dealing with his heart condition, to have more worries." My stomach dropped. I'd never told anyone here about Michael's health. How did she know? I demanded answers, but she just smiled again and said she'd be back in 72 hours. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in my head, and at 2:47 a.m., I heard its soft jazz drifting from my basement. I don't own a radio down there, just boxes of old tax files and holiday decorations. Heart pounding, I grabbed a flashlight and crept downstairs. Silence. But on my workbench was a steaming cup of chamomile tea, a kind I despise. Who was in my house? The next morning, I called lawyers. The first was too busy. The second cited a sudden conflict of interest. The third was blunt. "Abigail Mercer makes life hell for lawyers around here." I tried the city planning office and Boise property file was missing. The state HOA board was reorganizing and not taking complaints. Every door slammed shut. Meanwhile, Abigail upped the ante. A health inspector claimed my septic system was hazardous, demanding $15,000 to replace it. A cop showed up about suspicious activity at my address, a 74-year-old who gets excited over crosswords. Then the IRS audited 5 years of my taxes, despite my meticulous records. My hands shook pouring coffee. I was losing weight, barely sleeping. I couldn't tell Michael, who was fighting his own battle in Portland. I was unraveling, and then the weird stuff started. Emails marked red I hadn't opened. Missed calls from non-existent numbers. My fridge filled with kale smoothies and protein bars I'd never buy. My thermostat reset to 74 degrees Fahrenheit every night, though I set it at 70. Was I losing my mind? Then Emily Harper appeared. I was a wreck in the grocery store when she approached me in the cereal aisle. "Mr. Carter? I'm Emily, Abigail's assistant. I've seen her do this to others' families forced to sell their homes." She whispered that Abigail owned Mercer Realty, a sprawling company using HOA violations to pressure owners into selling cheap, then flipping properties for profit. It was legal, ruthless, and devastating. What I didn't know was Emily was FBI agent Emily Harper, undercover in Abigail's operation for 16 months, investigating a massive money laundering scheme. That night, I came home to find my back door unlocked, professionally picked. Nothing was stolen, but a message was scrawled in the steam on my bathroom mirror. Stop fighting, or else. I'd showered 20 minutes earlier. Mirror had been clear. Someone was in my house while I was there, naked and unaware. I spent $300 on security cameras, motion sensors, new locks. I even considered a gun, but my background check mysteriously flagged me as dangerous. Then disasters hit. A healthy oak fell across my driveway on a windless night. $1,200 to remove. My water line burst, flooding my basement, the plumber saying it looked sabotaged from the inside. Power outages hit only my house, 6 p.m. to midnight, 3 days straight. My mail was suspended for vague safety concerns. Emily fed me more intel. Abigail's empire spanned 19 states, with 27 subsidiary companies. She was a master of legal terrorism, breaking people without breaking laws. The sign someone was living in my house grew undeniable. Footsteps at night, deliberate and human. A brown hair on my pillow. I am gray and live alone. My cameras glitched from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., exactly when I heard movement. I kept a journal, noting every oddity, and saw a pattern. Whoever was there knew my routine better than I did. I stopped sleeping in my bedroom, camping on the couch with a baseball bat, jumping at every creak. My neighbor, Mrs. Clara Mendoza, 72 and fearless, confirmed I wasn't crazy. I've seen men sneaking into your house when you're gone, she said. Abigail told me I'm senile, but I know what I saw. One night, I stayed awake, pretending to sleep, bat in hand. At 2:30 a.m., I heard footsteps from the kitchen to the staircase. I followed, finding a warm glass of water and wet footprints leading to a solid wall. How do you vanish through a wall? The final blow came fast. A building inspector declared my cabin unsafe due to foundation issues, $47,000 to fix. Animal control tried to take my 15-year-old cat, Shadow, over noise complaints. My driver's license was suspended for fake violations. My bank account was frozen for suspicious activity. I was trapped, penniless, isolated. Emily called, whispering, Abigail's hired someone to handle you by tomorrow night. Get out now. But I had nowhere to go. I chose to stay and fight. I barricaded my doors, armed myself with knives and a flashlight, and called 911 about an imminent break-in. That night, my lights flickered oddly, whispers came through my vents, and my doorbell camera caught shadows with no source. Mrs. Mendoza warned me about a black van watching my house. At 11:47 p.m., engine stopped outside. Heavy footsteps crunched gravel. A megaphone blared. James Carter, this is the police. We have a warrant. Open the door. But why midnight? Why a megaphone? The man at my door, Officer Ryan Keller, badge 3921, looked too perfect. I let him in, hands shaking. But when we reached the basement door, his eyes gleamed oddly. I knocked over a lamp, and he drew his gun, screaming, freeze. I stumbled back, and he shot me, the bullet ripping through my shoulder. Then chaos erupted. 3 men in tactical gear burst in known from the basement. One from a hidden closet panel, one from the ceiling. U.S. Marshals, drop your weapon, they shouted. I was bleeding, gasping. Who are you? You've been in my house. Keller, real name Ethan Cole, surrendered, babbling. Mercer paid me $75,000 to scare you into selling. I didn't know about Marshals. Agent Torres, a grizzled veteran, patched my wound. Agent Brooks, a sharp-eyed woman, cuffed Cole. Agent Lawson, the leader, called for medics. They'd been living in my house for months, watching me, using me as bait in Operation Pinefall, targeting Abigail's $600 million money laundering network. My cabin, bought at an estate sale 3 years ago, once belonged to her accountant, who hid damning records in a basement safe I'd never opened. Abigail's mercenaries attacked that night, her voice booming over a megaphone, threatening Michael's medical care. The Marshals fought back, and I guided them through my cabin's layout. Abigail hacked their radio, revealing she'd known about the FBI's sting for months, claiming she'd trapped them. But the safe in my basement held the evidence to dismantle her empire. When the dust settled, Abigail and her network were arrested, along with 76 corrupt officials. I was compensated but left with PTSD, unable to trust or feel safe. I sold the cabin and moved to Portland to be near Michael. 6 months later, in March 2025, an HOA letter from Tucson, Arizona, demanded $3,800 for a property I never owned. I called Agent Harper. Her silence said it all. Another Abigail Mercer was out there. Where are you reading this from? Was I wrong to help the feds after they used me? Should I have run instead of fighting? Is Abigail's escape a failure or part of a bigger plan? Comment below, like, and subscribe for more stories that prove reality is wilder than fiction. Stay safe out there.